Hi, Daryl.
Hi, Linda. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So here we are. I mean, here you are, you, Marshall, Martha, the band of curious, the most curious people I know. And you've had this study, and you're digging, 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 looking everywhere to see what's going on.
What's going on? And we're hitting hard pan everywhere. All right.
You're
We're
getting what?
hard pan. We're
Oh,
getting nothing. I mean, we're calling people in Europe. We're emailing professors. We bought a machine from Germany, a sonicator that to break up these clusters. We were doing all this stuff, Linda. All right. And
and you were picking up a lot of knowledge
oh,
and
oh,
meeting incredible people.
we really were. We learned a lot, and one of the things that I found out was that it was the solubility that was the issue. We discovered the reason why this one product was more effective than the others. We believed was that there was so little C60 in it, it wasn't clustering. It wasn't clustering. The other C60s that copied the body rat study had clumps. They tried to break them. They did break them up with stirring. The body rat study, in fact, said to make the C60 more effective, they stirred it for 2 weeks in the dark using magnetic stirrers. So the process that everybody was using to make C60, out there was to copy the body rat study, and they did this by stirring it magnetically. All right, except this one guy who didn't even use olive oil. His was darker than everybody else, and I think we believe this is our theory. It's all theory. Is that the reason why his was more effective than everybody else's was because there was so little C60 in his product. We were told by the laboratory there was only trace amounts. There was so little C60 in it that it didn't cluster a clump. And so it wasn't that it was homeopathic. It was floating around free form, and C60 is so powerfully effective on its own that it was able to affect Martha, Marshall's, David, and Jeff's pain. All right? Because if you go and look at the C60, what everybody else says, pain is rarely mentioned. All right? And that's a big one for most people. They would say that. All right. And that's how I believe that we were led, because the people who we knew who had taken this all had pain except for me. All right. And I was doing probably a lot of the work on researching to no end, to no end. And I had no pain, but I was fascinated by why this thing produced the results that it did. And so the team that Marshall brought together, I got to bring this back to Marshall. Marshall has a theory, and I believe it's true, but it's a theory that the more diverse a group is, if they can be synergistic, the more powerful it is, the more effective it is. So if everybody tries to bring experts into it, Marshall's theory on synergy is that 5 or 6 people with different backgrounds. These are studies done in the U.S. Navy on survival studies. They showed that a group of 5 people who come together in adverse situations, if they can be synergistic, in other words, they can pull together their consciousness and their minds, will come up with better answers than even the experts. That the experts' expertise gets in the way of synergy because they think they already know the answer.
Yeah,
All right.
I can believe that.
Oh, it was amazing. Marshall's been into this stuff for 30 years with
Yeah.
his studies. All
Well,
right.
and he's brilliant anyway.
He's brilliant anyway. So he formed a group that was with people that were so diverse. One of the people in our group was a medical doctor who wasn't even taking C60. All right, that's diverse when you're studying C60, and he's doing a
Yeah.
lot of research. All right, I mean, one of the guys was brought in, and Marshall said because basically he was top of his field. This guy is top of his field, Terry Turok. All right, and he's basically known for his work for nonprofit and bringing business opportunities to underserved and under sectors on our planet. All right, that's not something you would expect to bring into a C60 group. And Marshall said, he said, I don't know why, he said, I know that Terry Turek has an important part to play. All right, so this group brought together by Marshall on diversity. David Stevens, the guy who sent Marshall the bottle originally, was a fantastically successful business guy in many different fields. All right, then there was Martha and me, Mark, I mean, it's us, your friends, all right? And so he brought this group together, and what happened is that's how the universe gave us the ultimate gift of the last piece to the puzzle. This guy named Len Heflick came in through the doctor who wasn't even taking C60 because the doctor had been volunteering his time at a homeless shelter, helping the people who needed help as a doctor. I don't know what he was doing there, but he was volunteering his help. And the lady who ran the organization said, George, she said, I think you might like to meet this guy. I think you two would hit it off. So she arranged a dinner for them to meet. The doctor talked a lot about Marshall, got this other guy's interest. I don't want to bring his name in because he's not involved with this. But when I Googled his name, Linda, and the people he brought in, every one of them was in Wikipedia. Right?
Well, and here's the thing, through the time frame that we touched base and you were telling me, the other thing that seemed to be in common is that you were all, I don't want to say, but more metaphysically bent people.
We were open to what Bucky would call metaphysical magic. We were all open to the unseen, the effect of the
law of attraction was what I kind of keyed on the whole time. Is like, wow, look who's walking on the stage on this thing.
Yes.
Because I didn't know you guys were trying to develop a product. It was more of a curiosity factor there for the longest time.
Yeah, we were underneath. Yeah, we had. How could we develop a product when we didn't know? But this is what happened: is the product came because when Len Heflick walked into our group, here was a guy, vice president of a multinational bakery company, in charge of quality, safety, and crisis management. All right, and he's a chemist, and he's taking C60.
I mean, what are the chances of running into that guy?
And he had a geodesic dome in his backyard.
Had a what? Oh, a geodesic dome. Okay.
He had Bucky Fuller's geodesic dome in his backyard. So when he happened into our group, when he got brought on, and he saw what we were doing, he remembered an experiment that he had done 35 years before. And he remembered, and he told me that the experiment had been successful, and it used a solvent, a food quality solvent, food grade, all right, to break up whatever he needed baked in. And he thought, I wonder if this will work with anything else. And so when he came into our group, that came into his mind. That thing that he'd done 35 years before. And because, Linda, he had a microscope at home that he bought used for $15,000. All right, I can't even imagine how powerful this microscope was. He had it in his home. And so he was able to take pictures because we sent him around 3 or 4 different samples of C60 from different suppliers. All right. I mean, we're into this stuff, So when we sent him our different C60 samples, he was able to see if this solution to break up the clusters would work. And they worked except for one sample. And I believe the sample that didn't work was because these people were manufacturing nanotubes and basically ground up the nanotubes into nanoparticles. And the bond was so strong between them that the solvent, it didn't work with that one. But every other C60 product that we sent him, all right, and we sent him 3 or 4 of them, he saw them break the clusters up. C60, we found out naturally clusters. You put enough C60 in oil, because it's miscible in oil, it's not miscible in water, that it will cluster together. And so he did the solubility experiment with food quality, with a safe solvent, and it worked. And that was
basically after 2 years, wasn't it 2?
It was 2 years.
18 months of looking, searching, reaching out all over the world, testing. The answer to your question walked in the door.
Yes. And not only did he have the camera to prove and the microscope to show him what was happening, he was able to take pictures of the breaking up of the clusters. So when you go to our site and you see the pictures on it, that's his camera of what he did to see the clusters of C60 breaking up. Yeah. And then he was the one who also came up with the idea of putting it on a strip, of delivering it. He said, because you put it back in the solution, it's going to cluster again. It's going to cluster again. It just does. That's what it does. Now, the less you put in, the less it's going to cluster and be more effective. but he was able to keep it to keep its solubility and put it on a strip that kept it suspended and soluble. So when you put it underneath your tongue, it went right into your body without having to go through the liver, which filters all this stuff, right into your blood-brain thing, and be more effective than anything else. Martha said, and she's taken more brands of C60 than anybody else, that other than the first brand, the one she got, suspended in sunflower oil, the pain didn't come back with this. This is the only other product that the pain didn't come back. And that's when you watched and saw what was happening with Martha. Because you didn't even know, like, we were cooking up our own brew, or we were
No,
making our own brew.
no, I mean, I did not. I just knew that once you found C60, I mean, I knew you guys were, testing this and that because it was expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
so Lynn gave you a big piece of the pie, but then you had to make it,
Yeah.
which is very expensive on a shoestring budget.
Yeah. Well,
How did that happen?
Well, we were using Marshall's shoestring, all right, originally. His Amex card, all right. I've got a ultrasound machine underneath my desk that I ordered from Germany on Marshall's credit card, all right. So we were doing all these things, and then Len came in, and now we had a team. I mean, we had a product, we had a team, and we came together and we started meeting, and we were making our decisions synergistically. All right. We decided, and Linda, this is what it was. There was a lot of discussion on how to price our product. All right. And we believed that we had the most effective form of C60 on the planet. And Len was patenting the process. All right. So we believed that we had a patent protected process to develop C60, a form of C60 in a delivery that was more effective than any other way. So there became a lot of discussion on how to price it.
And there you had the team and the synergy to take you any place you wanted to go.
Yes. And
Marshall
goes, this is what he cracks out. Not only did he have the concept of synergy, Marshall comes out, and it was like, what was it? It was Marshall, Martha, me, Sam Sokol, who had the master's in business, the tech brilliant thing to put our sales thing together. David Stephen, who gave Marshall the first thing. George, the doctor. Len Heflick, all right, and Terry Turok, who Marshall brought in. And the issue to us, and I think this is important, but that everybody know it. We chose to not exploit price-wise what we had. The intention of the group was to make it so people we knew could take it at $1 a day.
Yeah.
Cheaper than anybody else was charging out there at that purity. Most of the products that you were seeing, Linda, that for $1 a day, 95.95% pure. I think we're the only people, not true, I don't go and look at this stuff, but I've seen the metrics on it that we are selling. We are offering the highest purity, the most effective form of C60 at basically, for around $1 a day, That's
And I knew that was a goal of yours, and you really worked at getting that done.
Marshall argued for it. We went in for it. He called it the law of plenitude. We have to adhere to the law of plenitude, that there's enough for everyone, that we don't have to look at this thing and try and squeeze every dollar out of this and restrict the amount of people who have access to it.
Well, again, ahead of your time. I mean, I think that's where we're going.
When we were setting up we'll talk about our affiliate program later. Terry built into it to make sure that we gave 3% to cause. We're going to set aside 3% for cause. And we didn't know we had, we don't have any money because we're still not, but that's built into our model. 3% for cause.
Yeah. I mean, that's
different.
That's a gift that you can do that, and that everybody agrees to do that.
Yeah.
And you're living on that plane, not the plane of how much can I get out of this? Oh boy.
Yeah, it was. We agreed on it, and it felt and it resonated with us. And when Terry brought up the 3% for cause, it felt right to all of us, and that's where we are today.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good place to end. If anybody thinks this C60 would be helpful to you, there's a link below where you can get it for 50% off or 50 cents a day for the first month to see if it works for you and see what kind of results you get. $6 shipping fee, but just hit that link. And Daryl, I appreciate your information. That's
Oh,
I just
listen,
love it that
I
you.
thought I thought of a personal testimony I can give here. All right, because Martha's testimony and Marshall's was pain. I had no pain. All right, but I thought I could come up with a really cheap testimonial. This is cheap. I'm
Okay.
still, I'm still alive, and maybe without C60, I would have died a couple years ago.
That is pretty cheap.
It's cheap. It's a cheap shot. You know,
Well, you did say your memory, I remember you
my
talking
memory
about
is
it. You said your memory was better.
better. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. So anyway, everybody seems to have different results. I don't know how to even touch that subject,
You're
but
healed.
you're healed. Yeah,
You're
that's right.
you're healed. The
Oh,
story
well,
heal. You know,
that's absolutely.
help you. Yeah.
That's why I'm talking about it because I'm pain free too. But if I don't take it for a couple of weeks, ouch, it's back.
Yeah.
So the next time I want to talk more about the pricing and you know and and how this got to the
Into
next
the
level that
marketplace.
it did.
Okay. We'll do that next time.
Okay,
Story in itself.
we'll talk to you later then. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Linda.
Bye bye.